All right, what up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Living the Dream podcast. Today on the show, we are talking about looking at yourself in the mirror. And so, in the last episode, I talked a little bit about taking time for yourself. I was really struggling. I had a lot of heavy emotion, and we talked about emotional intelligence and um, understanding your emotion, realizing how to deal with that emotion, understanding how that emotion is relating to other people's emotion and that other person's emotion, just a general understanding of all human emotion, yours and other people's. That's what we talked about yesterday. And then taking time, not yesterday, last podcast. I'm doing these in a row. You heard this yesterday. And so, yeah, talked about emotional intelligence, taking time for yourself. Today, we're going to talk about looking at yourself in the mirror, which I think is like looking at your own soul and asking yourself the question, are you happy with yourself? Like, are you enjoying life how you should be enjoying life right now? I think Steve Jobs said this. If you can look in the mirror and you don't like what's going on for 3, 4, 5 days in a row, you really need to change something in life because life is not that long. And I like that a lot. But I really got this idea of looking at yourself in the mirror from Mel Robbins. I think she has I don't know if it's the 5 second pause, the high fiving yourself, whatever it may be. One of her books was like, look at yourself in the mirror, place your hand on your heart and affirm yourself. Just tell yourself, I love you, you're okay, and really look yourself in the eyes. Because often we don't say stuff like that to ourselves, but we do say all the negative stuff, like you're a failure, you suck, you this, blah, 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 blah. I don't want to spew all that negativity, but we say more negative things than positive things. So Mel Robbins has this thing where you look at yourself in the mirror every day, or when you wake up, you just put your hand on your heart and you say these things to yourself. A lot of other successful people have talked about looking at yourself in the mirror and being like, hey, are you okay with life? So it's kind of a conglomeration, I think that's the right word, of all of these success tactics. Kind of a little bit from Mel Robbins, a little bit from Steve Jobs, a little bit from some other successful people whose names I can't really attribute to the quotes. But look at yourself in the mirror, look at your own soul. Are you happy with yourself? And affirm yourself. And so that's kind of what I had to do yesterday when I was feeling really apathetic. The world was basically over in my eyes. Life was meaningless. And I just felt really alone. And when that happens, I trigger apathy. And when apathy happens, man, everything seems like just pointless. And so it was extreme emotion that really got shut down into nothingness last night, is what happened for me. And so, yeah, the what is life vibes made me very frustrated. And I actually did the opposite of what I'm telling you guys to do today. I looked at myself in the mirror and I affirmed how I was feeling. I affirmed the really terrible stuff that I was thinking. I was like, yeah, life is meaningless. And I was looking into my eyes and I was like, yeah, this doesn't matter. Yeah, life doesn't matter. Yeah, you don't matter. And I was just really like, that is literally what I was like looking in my eyes and saying to myself. I wasn't speaking it out loud, but because my mom was like close by and I didn't want her to hear that because I didn't really want to talk about it. But I was saying it to myself in my mind, and it was just it was really sad. I thought about how people really struggle with mental health. I'm probably struggling a bit with mental health, but I would never like identify with struggling with mental health just because that's who I am. But I understand what the symptoms of depression are, and I understand that I've had them before, and some of them pop up every now and then. But I was thinking about how like 13 Reasons Why people like. I think she took her life, and that's what that kind of whole kind of series was about. But people can really seem happy and really seem okay. Like I had just come from a church event where we were playing volleyball, and I enjoyed playing volleyball. But then I got back that night, and I was literally looking at myself like, "What is life? This is pointless. This is meaningless." Where it's like, honestly, dude, I love life. Like I love the impact I'm trying to make for people. I'm finally catching momentum, and a lot of this can be the upper limit problem. If you've ever read the um, Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, this really is quantifying the upper limit problem. Like stuff is starting to go good in my life, and I'm starting to feel more and more negative because I'm rejecting the good stuff that's happening because of my self concept of like kind of the temperature of success I'm at. It's like I'm starting to be more successful than I'm comfortable with, and so all these negative feelings are starting to self sabotage it. And I attribute that to the extreme apathy, but also, like I said, part of my ideal life is having sex with my wife consistently. There's a barrier right now that is just a time barrier. Like I can't do anything to kind of move the thing forward. I think that also both I don't like not having sex, but also takes away my sense of control. Like usually I can take action that will change stuff. I can't really do that right now, or at least I don't see a way. And so that's really frustrating. When I get really frustrated and when I get in touch with the loneliness and insecurity that has been plaguing me my whole life, apathy turns on. That's what happened. I was looking at myself in the mirror. I was affirming that apathy, affirming those end of the world thoughts, end of my life thoughts, if I'm being honest. Like I had suicidal ideation in high school. Some of that popped back up last night, and I was like, whoa, that's not who you are. But also I was like, man, I really do identify with this thought right now. But I also knew that's not who I was. So I was holding up both those things at the same time. And so where do I want this to show up in my life? Where do I want looking at myself in the mirror to show up in my life? So we saw how it did, where I affirmed negativity. I affirmed negative thoughts in my life. And I was like, that's not who I am, but that's how I was feeling at the time. And I was looking at myself in the mirror and I was really just going, like, looking into my soul and like feeling the nastiest parts of my soul and not even acknowledging the positive true parts of my soul. I wanted to show up in consistently checking in with myself, looking at my eyes and loving what I see, loving to see my own eyes, loving to see my own body, loving to see my own soul, and just saying, I love you. You are okay. You are worth it. This is worth it. Life is worth it. And that's just, I want that message to resonate with me because I think that's what's most true. Like I just do. Or even Alex Hormozy, I'm pretty sure he's a nihilist, kind of like everything's kind of meaningless. So you choose your own meaning because he still recognized that we need to choose meaning. And so we can choose what is worth it and what is not worth it. And so I want to choose that I am worth it. And that's what I want to look at myself in the mirror and be able to tell myself every day, even when I'm being apathetic. And I'm getting to that point. A lot of this self-improvement work that I've been doing over the past couple of years has really helped a lot because in the extreme apathy, we might be talking about this in the next podcast. In fact, we are. So I'm not going to touch on it right now, but I was holding two concepts in my head. Like it used to just be apathy, the world is over. But now it's like, well, that's not who you are. It's how I feel. It's not who you are. It's how I feel. And so there was that dynamic in my head. So anyway, I am improving. I am making steps. I also like to elongate my perspective. Like I'm 23. I am not very old by any means. I'm not very experienced in life by any means, but I do like to think that I have a decent chunk of knowledge and how I should deal with certain situations, specifically negative thoughts. And it's like, yeah, they come, they go. You don't have to identify with them. And you can choose to be grateful. You can choose to be happy. And I know that to be very true. So I want it to be consistently checking in with myself, looking in the mirror, affirming what I love about myself, and affirming what is true about me. That's where I want it to show up. How can I apply it? How can you apply it to your life? Sorry about that. Next time you brush your teeth, look in the mirror and see what thoughts come to your head about yourself. And then have a running list of what thoughts you want to think about yourself and affirm those thoughts. Like, I want to say I love myself. Look in the mirror and tell yourself that you love yourself, like straight up. Look at yourself in the mirror. Look at your own soul. Are you happy with yourself? Be honest with yourself about where you are and where you're going. Like, honestly, if you're fat, say you're fat. If you're ugly, say you're ugly. If you're lazy, say you're lazy. But say, I have a tendency to act lazy. Don't say I am lazy because that's not who you are. Say I have a tendency to act lazy right now, but I am very efficient, very effective, very motivated. And just affirm that stuff. So you can be honest with yourself. Don't lie to yourself, but be kind to yourself and realize who you actually are. And you're simply not acting like who you are right now. Does that make sense? Some people may think that's a lie, but I, as well as humanity, as well as basically every ancient text, would say that you are better than that. Does that make sense? Like, if you are identifying with something that's really negative, really that takes your power away, just fundamentally as humans, we have a lot of power. So when you are identifying with something that takes your power away, that's probably the lie that you have been convinced is true. And so you can tell yourself the truth, even though you think it's a lie right now. Because it kind of reminds me of learned helplessness. Like there's this dog, and every time he tries to go get food outside the electric gate, he gets shocked. Then they take down the electric gate, and he has learned that he is helpless. So he has learned that he can't get the food because every time he goes to get the food, he'll be shocked. So even though they take down the electric gate, he could walk right out and go get the food. He just sits there with the food on the other side. I think that's very similar. We have thoughts, we have actions, we have beliefs that are, we've been burned by the electric gate. And because of that, we've learned that we're helpless. We've learned that we're powerless. And we take that to be truth. Like that dog would never say it's true that he can go get that food. But that is the truth. He can go get that food. He's simply been burned a little bit, been hurt a little bit, and has solidified certain beliefs that are false, right? Now he can't perceive reality how it is. And so that's what I would say when you think that saying positive things to yourself is lying. Really, it's the negative things that are the lies. You've simply been convinced they're the truth. So take that as you will. But that's all I have for this show. Thank you guys for listening. This is the second part in a three-part series where I really struggled with apathy in the past day. And it not only affected my personal relationships, but it also affected business life and just waking up and how I was thinking about business. And I think that's important to realize. Like what you do every day and how you feel every day affects your results, like straight up, it does. So the more you can control those thoughts, actions, and beliefs, and understand those emotions and let them pass as they come and go, the more it's like going in the right direction. You know what I mean? As we always ask, shoot this podcast to 1 to 3 people you know need to hear this message. Go ahead and give us a 5-star review on iTunes. Check out the Creative Dealmakers Mastermind on workwithtimmydouglas.com. We are making creative deals to take people towards their dream life. So, yeah, I'm all about helping people get to their dream life. So hopefully you join the community and help me help you as well as help others. So on that note, we're out.